Well, power prices have become a key political battleground, with accusations routinely thrown around over who is to blame for surging electricity costs.
Well, recently the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission handed down a report with recommended reforms to improve supply into the future. Josh Frydenberg is the Energy Minister and joins us now from Melbourne. Josh Frydenberg, thanks so much for your time this morning. You're at Victoria Markets this morning for a particular announcement. What are you there for?
Look, it's a great day for the City of Melbourne, with Queen Victoria Market being placed on the National Heritage List for its outstanding value to the nation. The Queen Vic Market will now join the likes of the MCG, the Sydney Opera House, Bondi Beach and the Great Ocean Road in being protected for future generations to come. The market dates back to 1878, long before Uber Eats and refrigeration were ever heard of, and when Melbourne had a population of just 120,000 people. And it provides a real insight into the food distribution system that operated in the city at the time.
All right, let's move on to your portfolio, onto energy. The deadline for a verdict on the National Energy Guarantee is fast approaching. Are you finding it more difficult to find consensus within your own party or within the states and territories?
Look, there is really good support within my own party for the National Energy Guarantee because my colleagues understand how important it is to reduce people's power bills. And we have independent modelling that indicates that people's power bills will fall by around $400 through the combination of the National Energy Guarantee and our existing policies. And we've already turned the corner on prices, with prices coming down in South Australia, in New South Wales, in Queensland from the 1st of July this year. So there's a lot more to be done, and we have the recent reports from the ACCC and the Australian Energy Market Operator. But we have a plan to reduce people's power bills. Bill Shorten has an electricity tax which he wants to whack Australian families and businesses with.
Well, there is dispute within your own party on the role that coal should play, and on those two reports that you mentioned, Mark Butler says you're playing politics and essentially twisting those reports to fit your pro-coal agenda. Are you doing that?
Well, he obviously hasn't read the detail of those reports because it makes it very clear that the cheapest cost of generation today is actually existing coal assets. And we saw what happened in Victoria when Hazelwood closed and when the Northern Power Station in South Australia closed. The wholesale prices increased quite substantially. So the future is seeing a significant reduction in the cost of renewables and in storage, and we're investing in the biggest renewable storage project in the world with Snowy 2.0. But we need to have an all-of-the-above approach. We need to be technology neutral. We're not pro-coal, we're not anti-coal, we're not pro-renewables, we're not anti-renewables. We have a laser-like focus on reducing people's power bills, and we have turned the corner, and our plan is working.
The emissions reduction target has been a sticking point. Why won't you look at adjusting that target if it will get more people over the line and supporting the National Energy Guarantee?
Well, as you know, we signed up to the Paris Agreement with a pretty significant emissions reduction target of 26 to 28% by 2030 on 2005 levels. On a per capita basis and GDP basis, that's more than 50%. It's one of the strongest targets in the world. And we will meet that target just as we met and we beat our previous targets. But we believe the electricity sector, which is about 1/3 of the nation's emissions, should do its fair share, and that's a pro rata reduction. So our 26% target for the electricity sector into the National Energy Guarantee is consistent with that objective.
And are you committed to legislating that for a full decade, or is that up for negotiation?
It's always been the case that the sector needs investment certainty. That's what's been missing for the last decade. So the idea is that you would legislate for a decade with these targets and that we would obviously provide the level of certainty that the industry needs. That will lead to more investment. More investment means lower prices. That's what the Australian families and Australian businesses want from their government.
Now, the coalition, Josh Frydenberg, has been in power for a number of years now. Why don't we already have an energy policy that is reliable and that's also low cost? Haven't you had enough time to already get that established?
Well, we inherited a massive mess when it comes to energy policy.
But you have been in power for a number of years.
Well, we have actually been taking action on all fronts. We've introduced a number of significant reforms to the wholesale market. Gas prices are down by up to 50%, according to the ACCC. We've introduced changes to the networks. We passed legislation to stop the gaming of the system. If the Labor Party had done that previously, they would have saved Australian consumers $6.5 billion. And we've also got a lot more transparency into the retail offering. We've seen thousands and thousands of Australian families move off the more expensive standing offers to market offers, and in the process save hundreds of dollars. And as I said, prices have come down in South Australia, Queensland and in New South Wales from the 1st of July this year. There's a lot more to be done, but we have a plan and it's working.
Right, I want to move on and talk about the Super Saturday by-elections because they're less than a week away. If Labor loses in any of the by-elections, but particularly in Braddon and Longman, would that be a chance for the Prime Minister to call an early election?
Well, obviously the Prime Minister's made it clear that he's expecting the election to be next year, and nothing I've heard would change that prediction. The reality is we're trying to climb Everest in winning these by-elections. It's going against sitting governments winning by-elections off the opposition. History shows that it hasn't been done for around 100 years. In fact, of the 151 by-elections, only 35 have gone to the sitting government, and a lot less to governments winning by-elections off opposition. Now, I was with Trevor Ruthenberg, our candidate in Longman, on Friday, and there was really strong support for him. He's an outstanding candidate. So too is Brett Whiteley in Braddon in Tasmania and Georgina Downer in Mayo. I've campaigned with them all. They're putting their best foot forward, and the people of their electorates know that the Turnbull government will lower people's taxes, lower people's energy bills, and will continue to create the thousands and thousands of jobs which we've already done so far.
Certainly in Longman, it seems to have been a battle there between actually the two federal leaders, between Bill Shorten and Malcolm Turnbull. Is that a risky strategy? Because if the verdict is delivered in favour of Bill Shorten and Labor, does that not by default mean a negative verdict for Malcolm Turnbull and the coalition?
Well, as you know, these by-elections will be close. But as I said, history goes against the coalition. So we are very realistic about our chances there, but we're campaigning hard. The polls do indicate that Malcolm Turnbull is way ahead of Bill Shorten as the preferred Prime Minister. And we know that our economic plan is working. You know, in June, we created more than 50,000 new jobs. We've created more than 1 million new jobs since coming to government. We're determined to lower people's taxes, and 60,000 people in the electorate of Longman will get up to a $530 reduction in their taxes as a result of our policy. And we're determined to see people pay no more than 32.5 cents in the dollar for their tax. So we have economic policies that are improving people's bank balances. We'll continue to action that plan, and voting for Trevor Ruthenberg in Longman, voting for Brett Whiteley in Braddon, voting for Georgina Downer in Mayo is a way to continue that economic plan that we are implementing.
Right, Josh Frydenberg in Melbourne, thanks so much for your time this morning.
Nice to be with you.